Let's be brutally honest for a moment. In the vast universe of sexual activity, there's one act that many, especially men, cling to as the so-called safe bet. The infamous free pass. You know exactly what that means: getting oral sex. The logic sounds simple. I'm not doing anything. I'm just lying there, not giving, only receivings, so I'm safe. It's a comforting illusion. But here's the twist. That belief isn't just false, it's dangerously false. This way of thinking has been overlooked for far too long. It's like a blind spot in the rearview mirror of sexual awareness. Most people don't even count receiving oral sex as a risky behavior. They treat it like it's some kind of protected zone, like a one-way act with no consequences for the person on the receiving end. But here's the harsh reality. Your body doesn't play by social rules. Microorganisms, those tiny invaders that carry infections, aren't interested in your assumptions. They obey one thing only: biology. And biology says this safe zone might be a lot riskier than you think. Today, we're tearing the lid off a myth that's been hiding in plain sight. We're diving deep into 5 specific infections and diseases that you absolutely can get from receiving oral sex. And trust me, the final one on this list is going to shock you. Most people haven't even heard of it, let alone worried about it. As someone who educates others on health, my goal isn't to scare you, it's to wake you up with real facts. Because when it comes to your body, ignorance isn't just risky, it's dangerous. Now, before we get into the names of these infections, you need to understand the why. Why is receiving oral sex risky in the first place? The answer is surprisingly simple, but powerful. It all comes down to this. 2 totally different biological environments are coming into direct contact. Picture your partner's mouth like a packed, bustling city. It's a vibrant, living ecosystem filled with billions of microorganisms. We're talking bacteria, fungi, and other microscopic players, all living together in a delicate balance. This is their home turf, their natural world. Scientists call this the oral flora, and when it meets your body, things can get complicated fast. Now picture this: your urethra, the narrow tube inside the penis, isn't a busy city. It's more like a sterile laboratory. A pristine, tightly controlled environment. It's designed to stay clean, not to entertain billions of uninvited guests from another biological world. But during oral sex, that's exactly what happens. You bring the mouth's chaotic metropolis straight into that sterile space. And here's the problem: when those mouth-welling microorganisms arrive, some of them see an open door. A golden chance to invade a new territory with zero competition. Once they settle in where they're not supposed to be, they can wreak havoc, causing irritation, inflammation, and serious infections. But here's where things get even more intense. It's not just about everyday mouth bacteria making trouble. No, there are specific, dangerous pathogens that are built to spread through this type of contact. These aren't harmless visitors. They're intruders with bad intentions. And that brings us to the real reason you're here. The infections that you can actually catch just by receiving oral sex. 5 infections you can get from receiving oral sex. Let's kick off this eye-opening list with HPV, human papillomavirus. It's the most common sexually transmitted infection on the planet. Yet most people only connect it with skin-to-skin or genital contact. But here's the shocking truth. HPV can also live in the mouth and throat, often silently, with 0 symptoms. If your partner carries oral HPV, they can pass it on to you during oral sex, and, yes, even if everything seems normal. Once inside your system, it can show up as genital warts on your penis. Even more alarming, certain higher-risk strains of HPV have been directly linked to penile cancer. That's right, cancer that begins with a simple act many wrongly assume is safe. Next up is something a lot of people don't even think about. Candidiasis, also known as a yeast infection or oral thrush. Unlike viruses or bacteria, this one's a fungal infection caused by an overgrowth of the Candida fungus. It's surprisingly common in the mouth. If your partner has it, those tiny fungal spores can hitch a ride straight to your genitals during oral sex, leading to itching, redness, and major discomfort where you least want it. This can trigger a condition known as balanitis, a painful inflammation of the head of the penis, and the symptoms, impossible to ignore. We're talking about intense redness, relentless itching, visible swelling, and in many cases, a thick, clumpy white discharge lurking under the foreskin. It's a crystal clear example of how a fungal infection from one body part can invade another, and the result is far from pleasant. Now, on to the third infection, one you've definitely heard of: herpes. But not just any herpes. We're focusing on HSV-1, or herpes simplex virus type 1. This is the same virus that causes cold sores or fever blisters on the mouth. Seems harmless enough, right? Think again. Here's where things get serious. If your partner has a visible cold sore, and just a tiny blister, and they perform oral sex on you, they can pass the HSV-1 virus directly to your genitals. And what does that mean for you? You don't end up with a cold sore. You end up with genital herpes. That innocent-looking sore is loaded with virus particles, and just one direct contact is enough to change everything. In fact, HSV-1 is now one of the leading causes of genital herpes, all thanks to oral to genital transmission. Fourth on the list is an old-school STI that's making a dangerous comeback. The first sign of this infection is a sore called a chancre. But here's what makes it especially sneaky. This sore is often round, firm, and completely painless. That's right, it doesn't hurt at all. So someone might have one sitting quietly on the inside of their lip, tongue, or even deep in the throat, and never even notice. They could easily mistake it for a harmless canker sore, ignore it altogether. But don't be fooled. That painless little sore is actually highly contagious. And if it makes contact with your penis during oral sex, that's all it takes. The syphilis-causing bacteria transfers in silence. And now you're infected. No warning, no burning. Just a quiet handoff of a serious, sometimes life-altering disease. And now, we've reached number 5, the one that catches most people completely off guard. It involves some of the most familiar STIs, but in a way you probably never considered. We're talking about bacterial urethritis. As we mentioned earlier, this is an inflammation of the urethra, and it can happen when ordinary bacteria from your partner's mouth slip into your urethra during oral sex. Once inside, those mouth microbes can trigger an two classic symptoms, like a burning sensation during urination and a clear or cloudy discharge from your penis. It's an unexpected attack from bacteria you never saw coming. Now here's the part you absolutely must understand, it's critical. The bacteria behind gonorrhea and chlamydia can live and thrive in the throat. Yes, really. And that changes everything. A person can pick up throat infections from giving oral sex to a partner who has a genital STI. But here's the terrifying twist. These throat infections are often completely silent. No sore throat, no fever, not even a tickle, nothing to signal that anything is wrong. So imagine this: you're with someone who feels totally fine. They don't know they're carrying anything, but inside their throat, gonorrhea or chlamydia is quietly hiding out. Then they go down on you, and bam! They unknowingly deliver those dangerous bacteria straight into your urethra. A few days later, you start feeling that unmistakable burning when you pee, maybe see a weird discharge, and panic sets in. You're left wondering, what's going on? We didn't even have sex. But that's the trap. Because oral sex is a fully documented way for these major STIs to spread. And it's the receiver who ends up infected genitally. It's not just possible. It's happening more often than most people realize. How to protect yourself. Now that you know the risks, let's talk about what you can actually do to protect yourself. The answer isn't to panic or swear off intimacy forever. That's not realistic. The key is being smarter and safer, not scared. The most effective method to slash your risk by fours, the one most people avoid talking about. Using a condom during oral sex. Yes, it might not be everyone's favorite option, but it's a total game changer. A condom acts as a physical shield blocking the transmission of viruses, bacteria, and fungi. And the good news: there are flavored and ultra-thin condoms made specifically for oral sex, designed to make things more comfortable while still protecting you. It may not be trendy, but it's the gold standard for staying safe. Next up is your second best defense: communication. For those in committed, monogamous relationships, having open and honest conversations is powerful. Ask the important questions. Have you both been tested recently? Do you actually know each other's STI status? Does your partner ever get cold sores? Even noticing a tiny bump or sore and deciding to wait a few weeks before being intimate can be a life-saving choice. At the end of the day, your best weapon is awareness. And the fact that you're watching this video means you already know more than millions of people who still believe the myth that oral sex is risk-free. That assumption, it's not just wrong, it's dangerous. A quick note on performance. While we're on the topic of being fully informed about your sexual health, let's shift gears for a moment, because there's another issue that's incredibly common, often misunderstood, and rarely talked about openly. Performance. For many men, struggling to get or stay hard isn't just frustrating, it can lead to serious anxiety, self-doubt, and even tension in relationships. But here's what most guys don't realize: it's usually not your fault. In fact, many of these issues trace back to a hidden root cause that has nothing to do with age, desire, or attraction. And here's the exciting part. There's a fascinating video I came across that breaks it all down and reveals a simple, all-natural home remedy. It's just 7 seconds long, and it's designed to naturally tackle that root issue. No pills, no pumps, no chemicals. If you're even a little curious, it's definitely worth checking out. You can watch the free video right now by simply opening your phone's camera and pointing it at the QR code on your screen. Seriously, it's that easy. And just in case you miss it, I've also pinned the direct link to the video right at the top of the comments below. Don't miss it, it could change everything. Wrapping up, let's bring it all together. Here's the bottom line: oral sex is still sex, no matter how casual or harmless it might seem. It's an intimate exchange between two people, and just like any sexual act, it carries real risks you need to be aware of. This isn't about fear, about replacing dangerous myths with solid facts, so you can protect your health and make smarter choices moving forward. Now I want to hear from you. Were any of these facts surprising? Especially the part about getting gonorrhea or chlamydia just from receiving oral sex. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. If this video taught you something new or made you see things differently, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It really helps. And more importantly, share this video with someone who might still believe that oral sex is completely risk-free. It could be the wake-up call they didn't know they needed. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more no-fluff health info that could seriously impact your life. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll catch you in the next video.